Oscar Piastri hasn't lost the support of his team. He's lost the balance between technique and adaptation. And in Formula One, that difference is enough to change the course of a championship. 4 races ago, Piastri was on top. He led the standings by more than 100 points over Max Verstappen and by 31 points over Lando Norris. A rookie who looked like a veteran, efficient, precise, calm under pressure. But after the summer break, that dominance vanished. Now he trails Norris by a single point, and his once massive gap to Verstappen has shrunk to 36. 2 low-grip circuits, Austin and Mexico, were all it took to turn confidence into doubt. On the surface, it looked simple. Norris got faster, Piastri slowed down. But the real story is far more complex. McLaren's telemetry shows both cars are identical. Same power unit, same aero load, same top speed, no hidden setups, no special treatment, no technical excuses. And yet, the results couldn't be more different. Across those 2 weekends, Piastri lost an average of half a second per lap. Then came the usual theory: sabotage, favoritism, the convenient myth that always appears when a young driver starts struggling. But this time, the data said otherwise. And if you want to understand how a missing half second can reshape an entire championship, technically, mentally, and politically, make sure you stay with us. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because we're breaking down the question that really matters. Not who's the fastest at McLaren, but who's learning the fastest from losing. The first problem was the tyres. In Austin, Piastri struggled to bring his fronts up to temperature. On a slick track with strong crosswinds, the tyres needed aggression to fire up early in the lap. Norris knew that. He carried more speed into corners, pushing the tyres from the first sector. Piastri didn't. He stayed with his trademark precision: smooth, clean, economical. That works when grip is stable. But when it isn't, precision becomes limitation. In Mexico, it happened again. High altitude, thin air, lower downforce, tyres that just wouldn't stay in their operating window. McLaren gave both drivers the same setup notes, but execution made the difference. Telemetry showed Piastri losing 0.25 seconds in turn 1, then another 0.34 in the final corner. Each steering correction added heat to the rears, causing premature degradation. Norris managed it better. Not because he was faster, but because his natural style fits a car that slides. Andrea Stella explained it best. When the track is slippery, you have to drive the car on the edge of sliding. Lando is more familiar with that style. Oscar is still learning to change his... And that word, learning, matters. In Formula One, speed isn't just about reflexes. It's about interpretation, how a driver feels tyre temperature, weight transfer, and decides whether to guide the car or fight it. Over the last 2 races, Piastri didn't lose because of strategy. He lost because he was speaking a different language to his car. Still, it's easy to see why fans doubted. He'd been leading the championship for months, and when his results fell right after McLaren sealed the constructors' title, people saw a pattern. That maybe the team had shifted focus toward their British driver. Fox Sports and Sport Bible recorded a spike in McLaren favours Norris commentary, but detailed analysis from Motorsport Magazine, 9.com and Auto Evolution pointed to the same conclusion. There's no evidence, no new components since Monza. The revised front suspension that Norris used in Canada, it was offered to Piastri first, and he declined it, saying it felt too sharp on entry. Since then, both cars have run the exact same spec. The only thing that's changed is driving style, and the tracks themselves. Then there's the mental side. Martin Brundle traced the turning point back to Baku. 2 crashes in one weekend, plus a jump start penalty. Since then, he said, he's lost that calm edge. And maybe Brundle's right, because since Baku, Piastri's pattern shifted. Early in the season, he was unshaken, even after losing positions. Now, every lap looks like an argument with himself. On the radio, his tone is measured but tense. In Parc Fermé, the eyes stay down longer. It's not permanent frustration, it's the quiet processing of pressure. Andrea Stella, though, sees progress. Oscar learns fast, he said. In Mexico, we already saw him adapting his driving compared to Austin, and the result improved immediately. Piastri started 8th, but finished 5th after a strong second stint. Behind the results, the data told a different story. His average pace in the second stint was just 0.09 seconds slower than Norris, despite running in traffic most of the race, meaning that when the air was clean, the speed was still there. That matters, because raw numbers can be misleading. 2 poor weekends can hide huge steps forward in understanding. And in Formula One's world of tiny margins, confidence often returns faster than people think. Jenson Button once said, "Sometimes all you need is one perfect lap to remember who you are." For Piastri, that lap hasn't arrived yet, but the signs are there. The final stretch of the season could be his turning point. Brazil, Qatar and Abu Dhabi all feature high grip surfaces and consistent temperatures, tracks that reward flow and precision, exactly where Piastri excels. At Silverstone and Zandvoort, circuits with similar characteristics, he outqualified and outraced Norris without strategy help. Only Las Vegas looks risky. Its surface similar to Baku, smooth and unpredictable. But if he's absorbed what Austin and Mexico taught him, Vegas might actually become the weekend that resets his season. And then there's Verstappen, 36 points behind. Red Bull no longer has the technical cushion it once enjoyed, but Verstappen remains dangerous because McLaren's 2 drivers are now draining energy, fighting each other. McLaren insists there's no number 1, but history says otherwise. When 2 teammates fight for a title, the outcome rarely depends on machinery. It depends on who handles the pressure best. That's the real test for Oscar Piastri. To prove that calm doesn't mean soft, and efficiency isn't luck. 2 bad weekends don't erase 9 months of excellence. True champions aren't defined by avoiding crises, but by how they rebuild afterward, sharper than before. Inside McLaren, the mood remains optimistic. Stella keeps repeating the same message. We want both drivers to have a fair shot until the end. There's no priority other than keeping both cars ahead, and while conspiracy theories never completely disappear from the paddock, every bit of data, body language and race evidence points to one truth. McLaren isn't dividing their team, they're shaping 2 potential world champions. For Oscar Piastri, the last 2 weekends weren't a fall, they were a lesson, a stage that every great driver eventually faces. Hamilton lost direction in 2011. Verstappen took 3 years to learn restraint. Both discovered the same thing. Speed is only half the game. The other half is knowing when to change the way you think. And maybe that's what Piastri is doing now. Under lights, under pressure, with nowhere to hide. Because in Formula One, there's never time to disappear. You either adapt or you're erased. If you enjoy deep dive analysis like this, exploring the data, the strategy, and the human side of speed, hit subscribe and ring the bell. We'll keep unpacking how McLaren's internal battle could decide not just this championship, but who among them truly deserves to be called a champion. So the question now is, after the 2 toughest weekends of his season, has Oscar Piastri lost his shot at the title? Or is he just learning how to become one?